Hello viewers, this is Men to Men Talk. Thank you for tuning in. We want to appreciate you. Please, if you're joining us for the first time, you can subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. First things first, health. We want to encourage you to put on your masks as much as possible. Always, I know it's something that is very irritating. It's not something that we were built to have, covering our, respiratory system. But for the sake of the COVID-19, let's endeavor to keep alive. And so we encourage you to put on masks, use hand sanitizer where you don't have access to water and soap, and keep distance as we have done here. For the purposes of making sure that we try to reduce the spread of the virus. For today's show, as always, we want to first encourage the use of masks and following the guidelines given by the government. But as always, we have space that is created good enough for us to discuss without, because of the distance created. So I want to thank you once again for joining us. This is Gospel Assembly Church Men to Men Talk, and thank you for those comments that always come through. We want to appreciate you for that. I will ask my colleague as usual to introduce himself, and then we'll roll on to what we're going to share today. So you're welcome, sir.
Thank you. Viewers, as usual, I'm Olowo, just like Jerome Stowell is my other name, secondary name. Glad to come to you again. Be blessed. I pray you're blessed by our discussion today.
Yeah, so today we want to look at a topic that has been, I would say, an area that brings out a lot of the wrong side of men, and that is emotions. So we want to talk about emotions, but particularly focusing at men. And we'll be discussing, looking at what are some of the causes, what are men made of that brings about the difference in how we react to emotions, or how we handle emotions, and how emotions has cost us some undesirable behavior in the society. So we'll be playing around that area. However, just for you to understand, we are not medical personnel, and so we are not going to be talking about medical issues in this case. We'll be looking at it from the perspective that we see as a socialist, like people that we have had our own way of controlling our emotions that has worked, and we have been having some little bit of understanding or help from people that has helped us to have a few things that has given us control of our emotions. Yeah, so we will not be handling medical issues. So you don't take this show that it is a medical
Scientific
or scientific per se, but we're looking at it from a perspective that we have seen working from a Bible context, from our experiences. But we want to promise that as we advance in the discussion about emotions, we'll be bringing on board a medical personnel to give us a deeper bit of a scientific approach to how we can handle emotions. So thank you so much once again. I would like to ask my colleague to start it off from there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Emotion is, in my view, is a human thing. every human being has got a degree. It's got actually a full-scale emotion. It's just the societal setting or upbringing or culture or understanding of who a leader should be. We are talking about a boy here. So boys are raised to be leaders, to be protectors, to be the fenders for their home and providers. And at no point you wouldn't love to hear that your head is broken down emotionally to show it's interpreted as weakness.
Yeah.
So we are raised up with that mindset that you, a boy who's being groomed to be a leader or the head of the family, you should not show emotions. Let your emotions spill, because that makes you a weak person. So there's that grooming or that drill that you're given from childhood. I remember when we were young and maybe something happened to you, you fell and you cried and went to your mom, and mom was like, stop crying, you're not a girl. So you're pushed away, you're not a girl, why are you crying? Things like that. So that begins to inform how we react, how we let our emotions come out. But the fact is, we have emotions boiling down in our hearts, in our members. So there's that aspect.
So I agree with you. I think as we most cultures consider men as the head of the family. That goes even to religious standing. Men are the head of the family from religious context and some other cultures. And so in that way, as a leader, you are looked at as a model. You are looked at as somebody that defines what is ahead. The hope that that family has is defined through the leader. So breaking down, emotional breakdown of that particular head of the family would then spill in probably in multiples, like it multiplies, because someone says, if dad is crying, then this could be serious. It could be something that is way beyond. And so I think that's where we realize that the emotions in men are actually there. The only thing is we try to downplay it. It goes inward than expressing it outwardly. And so that in that case it means there is a cost, either a positive thing that comes out of keeping emotions inward or throwing it outward, and how you go about it. So I think we could look at the cultural kind of expectations that makes men grow up having to hide emotions inwardly. We could look at those cultural inclinations, and then we see how we can build up from there. Yeah.
Culture is a practice over time, like you put it. It tends to shape your character, how you react to things, how you relate with things around you. Then they will tell you, in our tribes we don't do this, men don't do this, or a girl cannot do this or the other. Sometimes it cuts across, but the issue is that they're trying to achieve certain things. But culture sometimes is not 100% right. I also don't believe that. So I believe in culture being right, because it's something tested over a period, but it's not 100% right, because you find that you are pushed to the level whereby you cannot let out. As a human being, you need a let out. Personally, my let out is when I'm praying, because it doesn't show that whether I'm crying because of my problem or I'm rushing out to God. So that's where I can let my tears roll, that's where I can sob, I can roll, I can do everything.
If I may ask, just for the purposes of clarification, does that come irrespective of whether people are seeing you, or it only happens when you are actually in your room?
Okay.
Like let's say a church setting where you're overwhelmed by that prayer aspect, and then your tears are rolling down. Do you feel there's that concern of controlling your kind of tears rolling out?
Yes, being brought up that you're not supposed to release that. You're not supposed to cry. People should not see you as your weak point. Being a man or a leader, when you come to church, there's an excuse.
Yeah.
Because you read in the Bible, people crying before the Lord, and so you know that even if I cry here for my own heart, which is the other side, I'm covered under that
expectation.
Yeah, the expectation that someone can cry before the Lord and so on. But honestly, it shields you from thinking that now someone is going to see me crying and so on. It sort of gives you that cover, so you can actually, even when I'm praying, I don't mind even that outburst in public, because I know the cover is they will think this person has reached out to God so much, and so it's a bit hypocritical, but it's also an opportunity for you to release the inbuilt stuff and so on. Privately, you can cry.
Yeah, I think there's some point here I don't want people to miss. You mentioned that expectation, the community expectation creates certain kind of behavior that we actually show to fulfill that,
to meet that.
Yeah, to meet that particular thing. Now, in this case, then men actually cry in church, and no one actually takes it as a negative thing.
A negative thing. Yes.
Meaning, in church, where there is expectation that crying in your prayers or you're overwhelmed in your prayers, when tears roll down, that doesn't show that you are a weak man.
At least in church, you can get away with it.
Yeah. So the point here is that they expect such things in a church setting, but if it happens at home or elsewhere, then it's a problem.
Exactly.
Which is the point I wanted to mention. Because that in this case we have to look at it that the negativities that overwhelm men may be actually heaped on them from the very society who turns around to actually assess them wrongly out of the outcome that has come, for example, out of the emotion that you took internally. Instead of crying outwardly out there, you kept it inside, but now it builds into something and bursts. So that is the point, that the society creates a necessary building block for us to overcome emotions. When there's a need for us to release them, we keep them inside because the society expects us to. So that's the point I wanted really to make it very clear.
Bottles out. But when you are speaking, my mind goes, why is it okay for a lady to cry?
And we take it as a normal thing.
As a normal thing. My thought is that from the setup is that the lady has a head.
Yeah.
So when she cries,
the head comes to
comfort and give you that consolation and so on.
Yeah.
But when a man cries, who is expected to do that? In other words, a man's crying, a lady's crying calls for consolation from her head. But a man's crying is interpreted as failure. Everything has come to an end.
So you, the rest, start crying as well.
You start crying as well.
What is it waiting for?
Exactly.
If everything, I am telling you, this is the last thing.
This is the last thing.
It's like
let's cry about it and get over it. So
if the train actually, not the head, the train, if the train goes off, all the coaches will also go off.
Exactly. So that is the thing with man crying. Now, the reason in church you can cry and nobody finds faults with you is now you have gone to someone higher than you.
Okay.
Who's supposed to give you that comfort?
I love that.
Who's supposed to give you that headship consolation? You know that when I cry before this person.
And I think that in a way is a submission.
Yes.
Submitting to high authority, as you say. There is somebody you're expecting above to actually do the consolation. Or on the other hand also, because not all that men express in terms of crying in the church means they are emotional.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I don't know whether there's a positive emotion.
Yeah, there is, I think.
Yeah, but the aspect of sometimes the joy that God has come through for you you know, in terms of the testimony or the things that he has done well for you, overwhelms you.
True.
And so there's that, you know, there's that outburst of, you know, God. Because tears is actually an expression of
language.
joy,
Yeah.
is a language of joy
Yeah,
and sorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I'm picking this also that in the church, the expression of tears coming out of a man, in a way, gives like kind of like the leader is going deeper into prayers.
Exactly.
You know, that is a absolute submission.
Uh-huh.
This is another level where maybe the lady in the church or the children to that father will see that, oh, I think before God there should be absolute submission.
Yes.
And if our father can go that extreme, they're not going to look at it like, I think we have a problem at home.
Uh-huh.
But they
Yeah.
feel like, I think, you know, this is what we need to
You're
do.
surrendered totally.
Yes, yes.
So it's showing us how to relate with God at a deeper level.
Yeah.
So they tend to relate with that, not in the negative side, but on the side that now this is a better example. Our what?
Our father is
or
taking
our
us.
leader is given us.
Just to rectify, and then I'll get back to you. We're talking about, you know, men crying outside church in a different environment is actually considered, you know, a problem.
A problem, yeah.
This man is not strong.
He's not strong, he's weak.
He's weak.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to say, you know, the church tears and all, but all we are trying to say is that the same tears that this man can shed out
I
there,
would say.
yeah, if it is shed in the church, it is not perceived the same way. And so the men who actually pray or get deeper into that emotional expression that brings about tears in the church has always been considered as a positive thing. It is not taken as a weakness in the man. So that is the bit I wanted the viewers to actually take.
That takes me to the concern is, why do people cry?
Aha.
What are the advantages of crying? What would crying indicate? I would suppose that sometimes it's not necessarily a sign of love, but it's a sign of need.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
one of the things you mentioned is also a sign of submission.
Yes.
I cry to someone I adore, someone who's above me, and I'm submitting to them. And the other thing about that is that I know someone I'm crying to is able to give me a solution. At least at the level minimum solution is to make me comfortable. Yeah. So God is, the Bible tells us, is the head of a man.
Yeah.
So a man is the head of a woman. So the reason we need to cry to God is that we are saying, well, one actually would be read as a sign of weakness. You say, I can't handle it. God, take it over. So there's a danger that when you don't release or you surrender to higher authority or someone who can give you solution, may not be necessarily a high authority, is that there's going to be a negative effect on you. So my concern, or where I was driving the talk, is that what are the negativities or the positivities
Of crying.
of crying? Or
Yeah, I think the thing is we all go through emotions.
Yes.
Even women go through emotions. Children go through emotions, and we express them differently. Now, for men, we kind of hold our emotions internally.
Yes.
We don't express it outwardly.
We cry internally.
We
in
cry
other words.
internally. Now, the danger of actually keeping it internally, let's hold on to that. We'll bring it later on. But let's look at, you know, the aspect that brings us to this level of the emotions. So the thing is, the women will cry. Children actually express their emotions very quickly. You know, like they cry now. You find before even the tears dry, they're already laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so it just flips in a matter of seconds.
Yes.
The ladies, they'll always cry. You find, you know, somebody, you know, the teary eyes comes in and, you know, they runs for tissues. I like the way they do it when they have their makeups, and you find somebody just you know,
Poking.
Poking.
They are
Is that
poking.
one I said? So there's also a concern when things, even when emotions are overwhelmed, you still mind about your beauty.
Your beauty,
Yeah,
exactly.
you find them, eating the tea.
Beauty overrides everything, right?
But anyway, that's just for a laugh.
Yeah.
But I mean, they express it very easily, and that has not been taken negatively. It's expected of the women. Now, for us men, we cry many times, but we cry internally.
Yes.
And now the danger of crying internally is grave. It is heavy, and we'll talk about some of these things.
I like to think so.
Yes.
Must
Now,
be done.
now I want to just hit more on the element of the culture creating something that when we look at, I mean, the way men are expected to live, we raise our children, our boys, that way.
Yes.
We know that they are likely to be dangerous.
Yes.
That is going to occur because of making these men express emotions internally, inwardly. But we don't teach the boys how to actually overcome the emotions that they stored inside.
Yeah, I get that.
You get that
I
bit?
get that bit, yeah.
Yeah, so that when we see the dangers of having these emotions stored inside, if it is not got out, there is a big problem. And then we look at how we are going to teach these boys. Fine, be the man, because the leadership, that the leadership role we are taking requires us to stand even in the middle of storm to create hope.
Exactly.
But creating hope in this case means even when there's no money, you don't want to express that there's no money. You want to put it inward that, everything is all right. We will eat, but there is really nothing.
Yeah.
Probably they fired you from your workplace. Some of us, when we are fired from workplace, men, it takes actually a whole month to tell our spouses that, you know what, I have been fired.
Exactly.
You leave very early in the morning, you dress up as if you are going to your office. For maybe higher fellows whose office cars have been withdrawn. That's when you start telling them, we are trying to look at reducing on expenses.
Exactly.
Yeah, so the car has been parked just for a second. So I'll be going by taxi, but you're just walking to a pub where you sit or in a restaurant, you sit the whole day, you come in the evening. And so, Jerome, just as you said, let's hit that bit. They have this internal thing. We know why we keep the things inside. One of it, which I want to probably just hint on, and maybe you can talk about, is the domestic violence. Maybe you pick it up from there.
Actually, the thing is, when you put it very well, that we are told to keep the emotions
Inside.
not to let it out.
Yeah.
But we are not taught how
to manage, to release it in a way.
Yes. There are things you cannot compress. Like air.
Keeps.
Yeah, it keeps.
There's pressure.
Yeah. So that pressure building, and you're not taught how to let it out, moves you to another danger. That when that which you cannot compress, you can only hide it for a moment. But you cannot keep it in check forever. That one day leads out what? An outburst.
Explosion.
Actually an explosion. And when something explodes,
it has less control.
You have
Explosions
less,
has limited options of control.
Exactly. A bullet, if I released, I can target.
Yeah. But you can't control the speed.
I cannot target an explosion that I only wanted to explode this item. No. But if I shoot at this, target at this,
it will only hit
it will only hit that, and the phones are okay. But if I put an explosion here, everything around this is going to what? To be messed up. So the danger of us telling our men or boys to grow up with the idea of bottling up emotions will lead to an explosion. And what are the effects? Like we've just demonstrated here. Everything around him will what?
Explode.
Will be affected. And therefore, a man whom you have raised is going to eventually relate with the woman. One.
Yeah.
Two is going to relate with the children, his offspring.
Yes.
And now, if he has bottled up this thing for ages, over time, for example, I call it dishonest. You hurt me, and I keep it.
You have not released it.
You have not released it.
That one is stored.
That one is stored. You do the same thing. You do another thing. Again, I store. You do it over a period. Then the time we're going to explode. I'm going to strip you from 5 years ago.
It's an explosion that has been stored.
Stored. And now that is going to wreck you more than if I'd told you, please, you did this to me.
Yeah.
It hurt me.
So it's like you solve every problem that came.
That comes as it comes.
I think if you hold on there, that is already it's already a training that parents should actually consider.
Yeah.
That don't let the kids store things from childhood.
Yes.
I mean, some of these things we are just looking at it at the like the harvest time, but the seeding here is if it's not done. Go ahead, sir.
If it is not done right, it goes. I've had families say, or siblings, you did this to me when we were this.
Can you imagine?
Now they were young, they were told not to release things, so they kept on. Now someone feels I'm mature, I'm in control. Actually, another thing comes to my mind is that when you're young, you're told to do certain things because you're not in control of how you should behave or react. You tend to submit.
Yes.
Now, when it reaches a point whereby you are in total control of your actions, whatever you do, you choose to do, you do.
You explode everything.
You explode everything. And that will lead us to what I would call maybe domestic violence.
Yeah.
Violence towards people.
Yeah.
Because people wonder, this guy was humble and quiet.
What happened?
What happened? The reason is that the upbringing, that training, that continuous gospel of what up things you're not supposed to show. You are supposed to hide and keep it within you. And that if interpreted that because I was not in control then, now I'm in control, I can release it. That person is going to be a notorious person.
Actually, you know, when you were talking, my mind just ran to relationship. Yeah, I'm bringing it down to, we're talking about husbands, you know, but I'm bringing it down to the youth, the young men. I mean, because we want to help parents out there, and we also want to help the young men out there. We do know that at certain age, we don't encourage people to get into relationship. And the main essence, the main thing I look at it is that they cannot control their emotions. Love is a very strong thing.
Yeah, by the way.
Yeah, love is a very strong thing. I mean, it's amazing how people who call themselves all these names, honey, I don't know whether that is from wasp, that it turns out to be sour or some sort.
Honey, yeah.
But you call somebody honey, you call all this loving, sweetheart, you know, rose, name it.
My one enemy.
Yeah, but when things turn the other way around, this is the same person who can get a knife and stab the spouse.
At a split
Just
of emotional.
Yeah. So we tell the young men and young girls not to get into relationship, because love has got an explosive aspect. You know, it's like you pour everything. Now, for the young men or the parents out there, we need to tell our young men why we are trying to hold them back from relationships, because the emotional requirements that come with what you call relating
emotional maturity.
Yes.
Yeah.
If it is failing already 32 teethed men, how about you who is just a visitor? You know, I mean, this is not like a David Goliath kind of thing that, you know, well, for those who have been fighting all their lives, have failed in relationship. For me, I am coming in the name of the Lord. That one doesn't work. So don't bring it. Yeah. Don't bring in those things.
What David?
Yeah. So we parents and mothers and uncles, let's teach our children Let's teach our children that emotions is something that can be dangerous. And one of the simplest emotional source, I mean, there's something that can bring up sparks or emotional sparks is
Short
love,
circuit.
relationship. And this comes because of growth and development. Naturally, you get to adolescence, then the body starts demanding for, all these things, and you start falling for, the opposite sexes. And then there you go, you start relating. But think about the outcome. I've seen situations where a boy is harassing a girl saying, I saw you with somebody, you were standing so and so. Just standing, you are not even able to actually handle such emotional thing. And so parents, we lose it at the young age. Yeah, the adolescence. Before the child gets to adolescence, the child should be able to actually guard the emotional sparkles. The things that you can easily know it sparks the negativity of emotions, like falling in love when you're just an adolescent. I mean, in Europe and America and Asia and some of these other continents, I don't know how they have raised their children. I mean, you find people in, middle school, people already relating, and parents seems to be comfortable. But in reality, it is not easy for a child to comprehend and control. If a man can batter the wife, in marriage already, in the presence of the children, then we should take emotions as one of the worst relationship aspects. Yeah. Emotions,
mismanaged emotion,
unmanaged emotion has broken families, have broken. Actually, some of these kids have committed suicide because of just the girl saying, "I don't love you anymore." So, how much parents are we doing to control this?
To help these children learn to
exactly
control, rather than bottle up.
Because now the issue is emotions are there. Culture is dictating that men don't cry,
or don't show emotions.
Don't show emotions in public. You demanding that from us. But are you trying to also look at it that the more we shelve the problems, the more it explodes? I like it when you say, somebody says, now that I'm in control, I can do this. Unfortunately, society, you come back to blame us. As we said, you are these examiners. You set the exams, you come and blame us, but you are not the teachers.
Exactly.
You just wait to set the exams, and you want to mark. You want to grade us. So, yes, you can pick it up.
So, you best talked about love. Parents, the reason we think love requires emotional maturity is that love is packed in a lot of emotional releases. Excitement, I believe that is emotional releases. How to handle disappointments from the other.
And which occurs in relationships.
Love. Parents, the reason we think love requires emotional maturity is that love is packed in a lot of emotional releases. Excitement, I believe that is emotional releases. How to handle disappointments from the other. And
which occurs in relationships.
Exactly, because once I go into a relationship, I'll go with the mindset that my partner is actually going to offer me all the positivities I've been dreaming in my mind. And now that I'm going into this, my expectation is going to be shattered somehow. Either because I had a very high expectation, or too low, or whichever expectation I had. Now I'm not getting that. And loaded with cultural settings, there are different things that I come with, the baggage. You used to call it baggage. So that baggage is going to affect these emotions that you're going to have. But the issue is, until I learn how to deal with these emotional thrusts, it's a force that comes at you. For example, if someone ridicules me, And I used to be told, just let be, let be, let be. And now it builds up. Now I feel that actually I can take charge of this.
Yeah.
What do you expect out of me?
That's a dangerous thing.
I'm going to fight. I'm going to do several bad things. I could even, I may not intend to kill, but because of the explosion with it comes, I can hit someone to a level where I hurt them so badly. And this also happens.
There's been murder.
Yes.
Like you've killed somebody.
Exactly.
You only realize that, well, it wasn't really worth the reaction.
Exactly.
When emotional control has visited you again.
Exactly. So, for example, you used to have hear stories of parents, their bosses batters them there by words or whatever way. Then, because they've been told you cannot release your emotion back to the boss, or you cannot talk back, you cannot tell him how you feel, or how
tell him off.
Yeah, tell him off, and so on. What happens? The danger is emotional outburst transfer.
This transfer of anger.
Yes. What you carry the other side, everyone in front of you are kicking. Even the dogs, the cat and everything. Even the cat showing you love of cuddling around.
You come to yourself, you're subordinate.
Exactly.
You know the person below you.
Exactly.
And you hit them hard.
And you hit them hard. So one of the things that happen is that bottling up, now it creates that, it can come to that transfer of issues. So you find that someone is not necessarily outbursting at me because I've done something wrong, but because they're carrying it from somewhere else.
Well, I think for this session, we are running out of time. Let's just look at what are some of the causes of the negative emotional outbursts. Yeah, because when you look at the whole thing, you realize, okay, things are being stored, but what are these that are being stored? Because that means there's some pain that is inflicted, but is unresolved. As we said, actually, if you followed very well, we have two strong things we've talked about. Teach your parents, your children, to resolve things as they come. Resolve them and they are written off. That means they are counted as problem solved. Then number two, keep the children away from things that they cannot emotionally take charge of. Things like
introduce them at that point.
Yes, like love affairs and stuff like that. But we want to give you a comprehensive, like things that bring about those emotional outbursts. What really creates emotional breakdown? I think that's the better way. Emotional breakdown. What are these things? One of it, I think I'll start, is of course you've talked about submission. There's that. Well, as I am the head of the family, at my workplace I have
also head.
I have a boss. So this becomes the head of, I have to submit to this person. And now that aspect of submission creates the element of not talking back. Meaning, if my boss hits me hard for whatever I've done, that probably, let's say it was wrong, or a mistaken identity, or they're blaming me for something that it was way beyond my control, that creates that emotional thing. That for me to resolve it with my boss, I am reserved. I reserve it because of the submission. I have to submit to my boss. So at workplaces, it's a very common thing. And now, when such a thing happens, I have not resolved with my boss, I keep it. So that is one area. And of course, we'll look at the solutions in the next session. So that's one area that causes emotional breakdown. Every time your boss says this, and maybe you may not even have opportunities to actually tell the boss, even when the boss has called and said, look, I think, that was beyond the response. I did something wrong, but you overreacted. These are some of the things. But we'll look at some of the solutions to emotional breakdowns, or avoiding getting to the breakdown in the next session. But for now, we can look at what are some of the causes. Maybe
now, I think people normally get to the extreme when their need is like not met. For example, a little child cries when their needs are not.
Thank you.
So we being human, whether young or old, we have a similar trait.
Yeah.
The other one is just a younger trait of it, but this one is mature.
Then they express it.
They expect it easily
out
and so on. So there are needs a boy child has.
Yes.
In life generally.
Yeah.
A boy child actually, even though he's being trained to be the head, he needs support.
Yeah.
He needs support.
Yeah.
When things are not going right and he's doing his best and things are not working, don't just come, you're a boy, you're supposed to do this, why? Da, da, da. No, that actually causes what? Breakdown.
That's right.
So like a child who's not performing well at school. And then you come, instead of trying to encourage him and trying to see how to help him,
which is the need.
Yeah, which is the need. Now you're searching for the need and meeting the need. You come and hit. That boy might one day run out of school. That is one reason. Or even fight with the teacher.
Yeah.
Because the same thing, the teacher will be saying, you're stupid, and actually we always brand them stupid.
Yeah.
But I've come to learn there's no one.
And yet that is a need to that particular child.
Yes. You identify. I like your system. Your system, you have something that addresses.
Yeah, we call it. We handle children. They are learning disabilities.
Yes.
There are people who are slow learners. There are people who are affected by maybe they are dyslexic or they have other emotional disorders that need certain kind of training to get the best out of them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some of them need repetition. Repeat for the child to actually understand. So those are like the need which you're talking about.
Yes. A man needs support.
Yes.
Some of these things that we get from men, outbursts, domestic violence, come because they're not supported. Nobody is there just to.
The Bible even says, God created a helpmeet.
Yes.
That means He knew that there is an emotional thing that requires somebody else. And I mean, we have seen this, that when our wives actually encourage us, sometimes we go home and we are really low, and then, your wife just tells you, you know what, you will go through it. I know you are strong enough. Or even our kids, you come and say, today has been a tough day. You sit on the couch and you're like, can I have some tea, please? And then you're like, Daddy, don't worry. I know you are strong. This is where you feel like,
exactly.
Yeah. And that is a simple thing. Like just the child saying, Dad, I know you can go through it. That alone gives you that support.
Exactly.
Something else that I also see as a very big challenge and creates emotional breakdown is friendship. Yeah, friendship. Basically, when you look at men, we need friends. We confine so much in friends. Now, if a man doesn't have somebody that he's very close or is there,
someone you can share with.
Yeah, I'm going to take it to I have solved. I take it to another level. That friendship is not just about. Even thugs and thieves are actually very close friends, but aiming at doing the wrong thing. Yeah. Exactly. So I will consider these good friends, or friends who will help point you to point you. Thank you. Point you to a good thing that is acceptable within that society. Sometimes we just get confused, but we have nobody to talk to. We don't have friends. The married people, at least they have a wife who can be a friend.
But also,
no, of course not.
Can be. I like the choice of word.
But really, the whole thing is that men need friends. Even God.
Like Noah was a friend of God. Abraham was a friend of God.
Even Adam. Adam actually, God just realized, hey, this guy is having a problem.
Without a friend.
Maybe the talking that men, we've seen men talk to themselves.
Exactly.
That is lack of somebody to talk to.
Exactly.
That is just, that's a simple thing of lack of a friend.
Yeah, I think so.
Man, you find somebody talking on the way and you feel like saying, who is that imaginary guy?
Exactly.
But anyway, we want to pause it here. We're going to have another session to pick it up from. We want to thank you so much. Maybe you have a word or two just to for
What
now.
I just like the point you just brought up. Normally, our viewers would like to say this in closing is that having someone next to you does not necessarily mean you have a friend.
No, no, no.
Yeah, because a friend goes beyond just talking and sharing things. Because a friend is that person you can share the deepest of all things.
Yeah.
The worst of you and the best of you.
Yeah.
And everything of
Yeah.
you. So if we teach our young people to have understand friendship and grow in friendship, even when they marry, they would be friends with their wives. That's why I was saying it's not necessarily true that your wife is a friend or your husband is your friend. So friendship is something you learn and build. So let's teach our young people to learn friendship, and that will help them with emotional outbursts.
Yeah, so thank you, Jerome. I think you can see that we've just started on. We are actually outlining what causes emotional breakdown. We still have a way of helping the young people or helping people who may be actually having some of these challenges. Giving a little bit, like I would say, to be direct, have solutions, give solutions to them.
Yeah.
And so you can't miss the next session. That one I can assure you, you just can't miss. We're just tickling. This is just to give you a little bit of heads up. That's why we're going here and there, just to make sure that, okay, something blows up. But the next session is going to be, wow, it's going to be powerful and you can't miss it. And so thank you so much for tuning in and keeping with us. Please drop the likes, let us know what you think, give us some feedback, and please let's use our mask, and please get something that you know is gonna, something that is genuine, that's, well, that can protect you. Don't put it for the sake of just police, but make sure you get something that's going to protect you. Let's use hand sanitizers. I mean, they are now being sold. You can clip some, in your backpack, or put it in your bag so that you can always keep away from the virus. Otherwise, we want to thank you so much again, and may the Lord surely bless you. The Lord bless you. Thank you.